Hi, everybody. Hey, y'all. It's Sam Goodman. How are you doing today? I hope things are going absolutely wonderful wherever you find yourself in this big, wild, and crazy, freaking weird world. Man, oh man, things have been flipping busy. They have been busy in our neck of the woods, and I'll dive into some of that in just a minute. That's probably, this is my rant half an hour, so I'll probably dive into some of that in just a minute. But before we do me a favor, head over to www.palehorsemedia.co. You can check out this podcast, really fucking scary stories, that has a season getting ready to drop on March the 5th. I'm pumped. We've got all these really cool preseason episodes coming out, and I put just as much into the preseason as I did the actual season, so that's kind of sort of how that works, because I sit down and I start recording these things, and then I start hammering through the main season episodes, because we're diving into true crime, we're talking about paranormal stuff, we're talking about creepy, macabre kind of things, and that takes a little bit of research. This podcast, I just get to jump on here and bullshit with you about everything that's going on in my life, get to listen to all the stuff that's going on in yours. But those podcasts, I have to actually sit down and actually do a little bit of the dreaded R word, the reading. I have to actually go and read and research and do some of those kind of wacky things, which, look, let's just be honest, let's cut the shit. It's fun. If I get to sit down and watch a serial killer documentary and call that, air quotes, real heavy air quotes here, work, it's a little different. I get to sit down and read true crime stories or read about really creepy things that give me all these kind of chills as I'm sitting here in the Pale Horse Media Co. studios with the lights off. I can't really call that work. It's totally fun. And that's really kind of where I land on really fucking scary stories and this podcast, and really the Hop Nerd too. I don't think I mentioned that yet, but the Hop Nerd too is that it's really just fun for me. I get to sit down, I get to chat with you about all kinds of cool stuff, whatever the subject may be, whether it's me ranting, whether it's us talking about work stuff over on the Hop Nerd, or talking about fucking serial killers. I don't know. It's all fun for me. And that's kind of where I was going with that whole www.palehorsemedia.co thing, is head over there, check out the podcasts, check out the merch store. I won't tell you again, I'm a nerd for good merch. The merch is solid. It is on point. We're dropping new designs all of the time. Anytime a light bulb appears above my head and comes on, then I'll make something and I'll throw it on there. So keep an eye on the merch store. But if you really, really, really like the podcast, any of them, all of them, whatever, just do me a favor. Make sure that you're subscribed. Make sure that you're sharing it with your friends, your families, your frenemies, all that kind of sort of stuff. And one of the best things that you can do, that costs absolutely nothing other than maybe, depending on if it's just stars or comments, it can range anywhere from about 2 seconds to about 2 minutes. So if you want to show us some love and you've got about 1 second to 2 seconds to 2 minutes of free time on your hands right now, just scroll on down in that little handy podcast app that you're listening to us in, and make sure you give us some stars, show us some love, write us a review. I say this half jokingly, but half not. It quite literally keeps the lights on here at Pale Horse Media Co. Studios. It allows me to continue to bring you this content by allowing us to reach a little bit wider of an audience, which is always super duper awesome. The more folks that we can have in this, this clown car, this circus that we call Pale Horse Media Co. Studios, the better, the absolute better. So do me a favor, do that stuff, check out the merch store, all that kind of fun stuff, and make sure you're following along on social media. That's an easy way to stay up to date with us. And I will jump in right here and say this as I pause and drink a drink of my gigantic Starbucks cold brew. Let's clear my voice. You know that I'm a cold brew fanatic. But that's a story for another day, I guess. But some of you have asked, it's Sam, you've been MIA on social media. Why have you're on sometimes and you post 47 freaking times a day. And then for the past couple months, you've been nowhere. You've just been nowhere. And then all of a sudden there's all this other stuff happening, which we'll touch on in just a second. But I will say this, I took some time. I'm taking some time away from social media in general, just to clear my head, just to de-stress, unwind a little bit. Most of you know, and if you don't know, now you do, I have a day job too. So, most of my day, the vast majority of my 9 to 5 existence is completely entrenched with that, right? It's day job stuff. And then the rest of my free time is here. So it's very easy to fall into this loop of okay, so me, I've been on this kick lately that I've been waking up at 0 dark 30. I've been waking up at the ass crack, right above the ass crack of dawn. So I've been doing this thing where I wake up at 4:30 in the morning. I throw on some clothes, I jump in the shower, I throw on some clothes, do not pass go, straight to the car, load up the normal stuff, the laptop, some water, some snacks for the day. And then I head to Starbucks, ding, 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 Starbucks. And then I head straight to the studio. So the studio is just, a quick 10, 12-minute drive from the house. So I'm at the studios by like, before 5. So that is right above the ass crack of dawn. If you don't know, that the true definition of the ass crack of dawn is exactly 5:30. So anything before 5:30 is just before the ass crack. That's kind of like right, like small back. That's like small of the back of dawn. I guess. But I get here before 5. I do a bunch of stuff, for Pale Horse Media Co., do all the kind of studio stuff, work on some other projects that I've got going. And then I dive into my normal day job stuff, and I'm pretty much just absorbed into that for the vast majority of the day, other than a little bit of time at lunch and maybe taking a meeting here or taking a meeting there. And then in the afternoons, the last half of the daylight hours, I guess, I focus on working on those said projects and podcasts and other stuff. So it's very easy. What I'm getting at here is that it's very easy for me to, in the small bits of time that I have in between the few precious moments of time that I have, it's very easy for me to get just engulfed by social media. So I'll catch myself, and I kind of know that I'm in a bad spot with it when I catch myself and I'm like, oh, I should be doing something, but I had a few minutes of downtime and there's something very productive I could be doing with this downtime. Like even nothing, like just doing nothing would be more productive than social media, right? And I catch myself like scrolling or trying to think of something to post or, getting into like, trolling. Like, I'm a troll. I like to get into some trolling. And then that coupled with the fact that a lot of the social media stuff, at least over, I know I'm a LinkedIn person because of my profession, the hop nerd stuff, right? It's very easy to fall into this kind of trap of this kind of war that's being waged in safety right now and so for those of you that are my non-safety folks, I am a human and organizational performance consultant / safety professional / safety kind of whatever, right? Anything but guru, I'll pretty much accept. But that's, again, a story for another day. But within that field, there's this kind of battle that's been going on between various schools of thoughts within safety. And there's just a lot of bullshit that just is getting flung around in LinkedIn. And I'm just like, I don't even want to deal with it right now. I'm just not in the right headspace to kind of go online and argue, in most cases with idiots. And I mean that as a term of endearment. But to get into these kind of like mud-flinging battles around the stuff in that world, I'm just not up for it right now. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I don't mean that like my brain is crumbling under the pressure or nothing like that. I just mean it in the sense that I've got too much more important shit to work on right now, and it's so easily to get sucked into that for me, I've just decided for, at least right now, until I have something that I really just want to share, I'm just going to avoid it. I just want to avoid it for a while and just kind of stay away. Another sip of the cold brew there, and stay away from it, and just for my own kind of well-being and productivity and kind of sort of all that stuff, I'll kind of like criddle and browse, and I'll like something here or there. I'll like something, or I'll share something here or there, but I'm not sitting down and like investing time into this cool post that I know will get, X number of likes because of whatever, right? And that's just not where my head's at right now. My head is focused on projects that we're working on here at Pale Horse Media Co. But that's a long rambling rant to say, yeah, like go follow along on social media, go do all that stuff. It's a great place to get kind of quick updates from us. At some point we're going to go back to doing live stuff too. And, it's fun. It's fun, but don't expect to like see me like every single second of your freaking day engaging on social media. If you slide into the DMs and you want to have a conversation, those hit straight to my phone. So I'm gladly check that out. If you want an easier way to get a hold of me, usually email. So you can get sam@thehopnerd.com or thehopnerd@gmail.com, all that kind of sort of stuff. Or you can slide into the contact boxes on any of the websites. thehopnerd.com, palehorsemedia.co, hopuniversity.org, sugoodman.com. You can go check that out. That's a great place to go follow along on the calendar too, as this year, the year's not quite where we want it to be with going out and doing kind of in-person stuff. But as that happens, we'll be posting junk there on the calendar. So you can come hang out and check us out and do all that kind of sort of stuff. Like actually maybe like shake hands. Ooh, scary stuff. Shake hands. But we might do that at some point in the future, I guess is what I'm saying. But all that kind of long rambling rant is me just saying that go follow along, do that stuff. But I am kind of taking a little bit of a break from social media, so I won't be all up in your grill. And now back to the kind of the main story, I guess, is that I'm taking a lot of that time away And I have taken some time away, especially over about the past 30 days, 45 days, to just completely avoid it because I have been working feverishly on the podcast, working on the second season of Really Fucking Scary Stories, and obviously recording this one here and there. I mean, this is pretty quick. Let's just level, right? This takes me like 30 minutes. Wham, bam, thank you, man. It's out there, right? But the harder bit, the more time-consuming bit that I've been working on is I've been working on a fiction book for about the past 4 or 5 months. Most folks that know me from the books that I write, I'm pretty fast to write shit. When I sit down and I get an idea, I'm very much of that belief that if it flows, it flows. If there's a story to tell, you can tell it in a pretty quick amount of time. If it's that good of a story, it'll just flow out. And that's what happened with my first book, Safety Sucks. It took like no time, right? It was like a month of writing. If that, like start to finish, start to idea, conception to paperback in hand was like 30 days. It was fast. But I've been working on my first fiction release. I wrote Safety Sucks, the bullshit in the safety profession they don't tell you about. Then I wrote Obscured, the Radical Pursuit, or the Pursuit of Radical Self-Acceptance, which was kind of like this whole journey of like, small town life, closeted, coming out kind of story. I wrote that one, both of those middle and then end of last year. And then right after Obscured, I'm like, I want to write something fiction. And I already had a little bit of a plot, a little bit of a storyline in mind. So I started working on that. And then life kind of happened. I set it down. I'd come back to it. I'd write a page. Then I'd write nothing for like 3 weeks. And then I would end up writing like 20 pages in like a day. And then I would write nothing for another month. And so finally, by excising social media and getting the podcast all up to date and kind of getting everything else kind of on autopilot for about 5 minutes, I sit down over about the past 30 days and finished that book out. So it is available. It is called In His Name, and it is available on Amazon marketplaces, basically worldwide. So wherever you're listening from, go to your Amazon marketplace, search Sam Goodman, search In His Name. We just put it in the store, so it's going to take it. I don't know. It seems like a week or two to finally get to where it's really like easily searchable. It's just kind of the process when you're doing Amazon stuff. But if you want a direct link to it, at least in the U.S. marketplace, you can go to palehorsemedia.co and check it out. Now, time for another drink. Hold on. There we go. And let me catch my breath. But you can go check that out. I love the book, and I will just let you, for all the hey y'all listeners, I will just tell you that it is planned. Plans don't always happen, but it is planned to be about a 3-book series. So I'm weird. I come up with titles in my head, and then from that title, I kind of develop the storyline. Weird, I know. But I already kind of have the plot kind of set, from the first book, and I kind of know where I want to take it. And from knowing where I want to take it, I've kind of already got a couple titles in my head, kind of where I want to go. And then we'll see, total, 3 books maybe. We'll see how that works out over the next, couple years. I'm going to say a couple years for that series probably to find its completion. But that was a lot of fun. Sitting down and writing that book was a lot of fun. And probably one of the more challenging things that I have done so far in my writing journey, in my journey as an author, because in the nonfiction and kind of opinion and kind of memoir space, it's easier, at least for me, because I just have to throw out kind of what I believe to be true, and then prove that, and then kind of justify those thoughts, and kind of back that up a little bit. That's a little easier. But when you're sitting, for me at least, let me say that for me. But when I'm sitting down, and fortunately, I like to think that I have a little bit of a creative brain. But when I start doing that, it's easy for me to come up with kind of like start to finish plot, but it's a lot harder to kind of all the intricate details, right? Okay, this connects here. This character connects in here. This is the complete backstory of this character, and this is how they fit into this portion of it. And then you have to connect this dot over here, and then you have to reread everything like 3 or 4 times to make sure, because it's so easy to kind of start feverishly writing and then find yourself kind of contradicting something that was way back when in the book, and then here and then there, and then you have to pull this piece in and that piece in, but. With all that being said, the book's out. In His Name is out, and it is super good. I'm in love with the cover. I have this tradition of every time that I publish a book, I either take a copy of the book and kind of shadow box it with the original manuscript. And kind of more recently, I found myself where I like to take the proof of the cover art front and back together, that thing, and kind of just put it in a nice frame. So I finally have the book's released, and I have that set in across the room from me right now. I'm staring at it right now, and to see that cover, it's just super cool. It's just a really, really, really striking cover. So I encourage you to go check it out. It is like an occult horror thriller. It's not, I guess I can't really say it's true horror, but it is really kind of in this kind of thriller occult vein. And I'm a nerd for that stuff. I don't know why. This kind of